friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster.
And Midge, you may be aware, as pretty much everyone is, that Pope Francis, the head of the Catholic Church, did pass away last month.
Yes.
And because of that, this very week, there will be a conclave held to determine the next Pope.
Yeah, I am fascinated by all this because it's not something I have any concept of.
Yes. Yeah, so it is very interesting. Best of luck to everybody. I hope Stanley Tucci wins. Um,
I'm rooting for Katya.
right, yes, for sure. But I think like especially like with the conclave, things like that, like the Catholic Church is a institution with a lot of ceremonies. It's definitely seems pretty stodgy, they've got kind of all their stuff in order. But this was not always the case, Midge. The early days of the church had some absolutely buck wild papal shenanigans. So we got murder.
Pope's gone wild.
Pope's gone, girl. I literally have a Pope's gone wild joke that I
Ah!
said to make. Yes, because
Pretend I said nothing.
I mean, you're looking back at it, we got murder, we got incest, we got bestiality,
Oh,
accusations flying around. And what I was going to say was that I thought about this just being a general Pope's Gone Wild episode,
yeah.
but there's just too much wackiness to be contained. So I decided to narrow it down and share one of my favorite pieces of bizarre Vatican history, the Cadaver Synod.
I can't wait to find out what that means.
Hell yeah. So this is a story that I've known about for a while, but shout out to JSTOR and to Elizabeth Harper's article for Atlas Obscura that kind of brought me back with all of the facts, made sure I had all the details. And I will admit that I originally prepared this for a presentation party last
Hell yeah.
weekend. But there was like a 4 minute time frame, so I had to go super fast through this. So I'm excited to get into all of the dirty deets with you, Midgery.
I'm also gonna need my friends to step up. Where's our presentation party
Hell
that I can recycle
yeah.
into a podcast episode?
See, and because when I was getting ready for the presentation party, I was like, oh shoot, I can't do any ghouls episodes
Oh, because
because it was
yeah,
Caitlin's party, and so I'm like, I can't bring something she's already heard to her own party, so I'm
sure.
reversing it, and I'm taking stuff I looked up for the presentation and bringing it to the pod.
Well, that's great news for me because I don't know
Yes.
anything about Catholicism. So hit me up.
All right. So we are going to head back to the 9th century. Have not even hit double digits in centuries yet. Things are still pretty wild out in the world. So this is a period of a lot of political upheaval in Italy. And at this time, the Pope is the one who has the power to name the Holy Roman Emperor. So
Oh, sure.
politics has a lot of impact on the Vatican and on the popes. And you
Yeah, thank
will,
God now we have separation of church and state, right?
right?
Yeah.
Right. But I will forewarn you that I am very purposefully using the plural here because so over the past 200 years from now, so like today, in the past 200 years, there have been 16 popes, average pope serving 14 years. So
Wow, that doesn't seem like a lot of popes.
no, it's a pretty like it's a long-term thing.
Right.
But if we're going to go back to this period that we're talking about, between 872 and 965, so just under 100 years, half of that time, how many popes would you guess that there were?
But in the hold on. Before or after that marker?
So within that period of time, within that 100 years.
Um I'm gonna guess it was a lot more at first because people didn't live as long.
It was 24. And it
Yeah,
was not
okay.
because people didn't live it. I mean, it's because people didn't live as long, but it's because they were getting fucking murdered and stuff.
Oh, well,
So,
see, because they didn't live as long. No.
yeah, I'm like, they sure didn't, Mitch.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
it's
now you have to like, think hard about it before you murder a pope. Like back then, you could just do whatever.
it's true. Yeah, I was to say, like, it's very Pacific Rim. The popes are coming through the rift at an alarming rate. Very concerning. But we are going to go
Pope Pacific
specifically.
Rim.
That's very good. I
You
like
can
it.
fire me. I would understand.
We're going to go to 864, which is the year that a guy named Formosus became the bishop of Porto Santa Rufina, which was a suburb of Rome. So he's doing his bishop stuff. He's pretty popular. He gets sent to Bulgaria to convert people there to Christianity. But maybe he did a little bit too good of a job because the Pope at the time, John the Eighth, was like, hey, I think Formosus is trying to become Bishop of Bulgaria, which is against the rules. You are only allowed to be bishop of one place at a time, specifically because, like, to try and stop bishops from gathering too much power and making these, like, additional political connections.
No
Uh,
pope monopoly or bishop monopolies.
Exactly. And presumably that is what John VIII was worried about because he was also like, I charge you with being too obvious about wanting to be Pope, which was also a rule that they had. So he was just out here being like, you want to be Pope so bad, it makes you look stupid.
That's so embarrassing for
So
you.
so cringe. So he excommunicates this man, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here." So Formosus flees Rome in 875. So that was like 10 years since he's become bishop. Things are going on. So I said that there was a lot of aggressive turnover in this period of time. So John the Eighth does get his ass murdered. He is being poisoned, but apparently the poisoners were like, this is taking too fucking long, and they bash his head in with a hammer.
It's not funny, but just like to go to all the care of like
Right?
poisoning
And
and
then
then
just
just
be
be like,
like,
ah, well,
nah.
bang, bang, yeah.
So after this, in 882, the new pope is like, hey, Formosus, come on back, be Bishop of Porto again. And then within a year, there's another new pope, and then there's another new pope. And in 891, Formosus gets to be pope.
He wanted it just enough.
He wanted it just enough. They're running through him. He actually lasts 5 years, which is not looking too shabby compared to a lot of these other popes
Well,
around
right.
here.
I'm gonna ask a stupid clarifying
Yeah.
question because I actually just don't know. Like you're Pope until you die, right? Or
Yes.
unless you do
Correct.
something really
Yeah.
bad.
It is considered a
A
lifelong
life position.
appointment.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So it's like being a senator. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. But he does, so he is pope for 5 years, and in 896, he does die of a stroke.
How old is he?
Well, he's so he becomes bishop in like 864, so he's probably like people who become pope are usually like in their 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
they do tend to be pretty old. But 897 is the year that Formosus is put on trial.
Okay.
It's a cadaver on trial. What's
Yeah,
up? Cadaver
he's
Synods coming
dead.
down. Yep. So after Formosus dies, some dude becomes pope for literally 15 days. And then Stephen the Sixth takes over.
That doesn't sound like a serious name, Stephen the
I
Sixth.
know. Uh,
Also, does that mean that there were 5 people named Stephen that were pope before him?
yes. Or so so it's a little bit weird at this time. So in today's world, like you pick like a pope name.
Oh,
So
there's
like
only like so many pope names
so
to
you
choose from.
see a lot of pope names going around, but like Formosus was his birth name, and I'm not sure if everybody was picking pope names or if it was just kind of like up to your discretion at this point in time. So I'm not sure if Stephen was born Stephen or if he picked
Just
this name.
Stephen feels like such an unserious name for like the Pope TM. I don't know about that, but
It's true. It is a little bit less dramatic.
sorry to all the Stevens out there.
Sorry, sorry to the Stevens. There's at least 6 of you.
Yeah. Sorry to all 6 of you.
But he makes it less than a year of being Pope before he's like, you know what I gotta do? I gotta pull
Murder?
Formosis's body out of his tomb, dress him back up in papal vestments, and put his rotting corpse on trial. Uh,
Now, for what reason, might I ask?
what a good question, Midge. So he is accused of perjury,
Mm-hmm.
of ascending to the papacy illegally.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we're bringing back up that old being the bishop of 2 places at once thing. So
Sure.
really all the same stuff that the previous guy kicked him out for. Stephen is like, let's stir
Let's
up some
beat
of
the
these
dead Pope.
again.
Yeah.
Yes, you gotta. Ugh, it's pretty wild. So they do have a deacon appointed to represent the corpse in trial.
Now,
So he's supposed to speak on behalf of Formosus, but I am guessing he probably did not say a lot, because from all of the accounts, it is pretty much just Stephen like railing and yelling at this corpse
yeah,
while
that's kind of what I was
everyone,
picturing
yep,
happening.
everyone
Yeah.
kind of watches horrified. It is,
Usually, when you're at the point of your mental health where you're like, I got to dig up this corpse and put it on
yeah.
trial, I can pretty much surmise what happens.
Yeah, I mean it's not necessarily the action of a super well balanced
Super sane
individual.
person, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep. So it is reported that there is an earthquake that shakes the entire basilica while this is happening, which
yeah.
doesn't
Because of maybe the
seem
blasphemy of
right.
digging
It's
up a
like
pope corpse.
doesn't
You
seem like
think?
it's a good sign to have
No.
a terrifying earthquake. Um, you may be shocked to hear this, Midge, but Stephen does find the corpse guilty.
So Stephen is also the judge in this case
Yes,
also.
yeah.
Perfect. So why did we do this?
He's the prosecutor as well as the judge. Uh
Okay. Okay, Stephen. See, I knew I couldn't take you seriously by that
No,
name.
you were right, Midge. You had him dead
Clocked
to
it in
rights.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
You knew. You knew Stephen was a wild one. Uh, so, as punishment, Formosus is stripped of his papal vestments, which we will recall that they did put on a corpse. Um, the 3 fingers on his right hand that he would like give blessings with are removed. And they are like, we officially are undoing all of your papal decrees. Basically, you were never Pope. Uh, so that's pretty rough for old Formosus. And
Yeah.
initially, they're like, "Ooh, we're gonna bury this body in a foreigner cemetery," and then they're
Ooh,
like,
that'll show him.
"That'll show him." But then they were like, "I don't think this showed him enough," so they're like, "We're gonna dig him back up and chuck him in the river,"
Oh
uh,
my god.
which is what they do.
Oh my word.
So you may be wondering, Midge, why?
I am. Thank you.
Why? Why would this happen? So
And like,
obvious,
why is the Vatican letting it happen? Because Stephen's the Pope for 15 days?
yeah. I mean, so he is Pope a little bit longer for like slightly less than a year, I think. But yeah, he's the one in charge, Mitch. And
Oh
this
my
is
god.
before, so it's in, I think I want to say 1099 that like they form the College of Cardinals, which is like what does the conclave and everything these days. So it's like after all this crazy shit goes down, people are like, maybe we should have more rules about
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to come up with some stuff to
It's
keep
giving like people being like, why do they have to put on Tide Pods? Like, don't eat them. It's like,
right.
well, we didn't think we would have to do that,
Right.
but
We
I
didn't think
guess
we
we
would have
do.
to be like, don't dig up
Don't
your
dig
a
up the
previous
Pope.
pope and put him on trial. But
Yeah, but I guess we do have to write that down
yep,
somewhere.
we
Okay.
gotta write it down there.
Oh my
So
god.
obviously, the strongest possibility is that this is tied to politics. So he may have been hoping to curry favor from political factions. I did read like a few specific theories that are, like talking about who kind of like the power players at the time were. I'll just encourage y'all to seek that out if you're interested in the details. It's a lot of history, but it is interesting.
For God forbid on this podcast we talk about history.
There's just so much, and it was like, and you had to, because it's all like the various different like
Yeah, like the factions
subgroups
of
at the time, because like
yeah.
they're not even like, we don't have the same countries yet, but it's like the people who are from what's going to be Germany and the people from here,
Mhm.
and this guy's fighting with that guy, and Formosus was
Did you say
allied with this dude, and I was like, this is too much.
this is 875?
897 that he
Oh,
is on
897.
trial. Yeah.
I'm just is there it's feeling like sending Katy Perry to space. Like is there something like politically going on that this is like a red herring of like look at us putting this corpse on trial and don't notice that we're starting a war like kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, definitely some of that. The other primary theory is that this was definitely about shoring up his own legitimacy as Pope.
Sure.
I did see a source that said that he was potentially also guilty of the being bishop two places thing. And so he was like,
He's like,
so if
I'll publicly chastise that thing that I did.
not only that, but I think, at least from what I understand from the reading, Formosus was the one who made him bishop of one of them. So he's maybe like,
So it
oh,
was
but
nepotism.
if you were never pope, then you never made me bishop, which means I never broke the rule in the first place. Uh,
Somebody put up that Charlie Day meme
yes,
of him
exactly.
with the red string behind
Just
him.
casing their
That's
he's like, Formosus was
Stephen.
never pope. Uh, and
Oh man.
something that I thought was really cool. I thought it was cool. It's also gross. But the JSTOR article talks specifically about how they, threw the corpse in the river, specifically through the lens of relics, because Catholics fucking love relics, which are pieces of saint bodies and stuff.
Sure.
So Catholics love a finger bone. We love any of that stuff. So it
I
may have
found
been.
out just this weekend
Mhm.
that apparently the finger of which is not Catholic, I don't think, but the St. John the Baptist is in Kansas City. His
Oh, hey.
finger is like in our museum, our big museum here. Apparently,
Yep.
I was like, I gotta go see that finger.
You gotta see that finger. So yeah, so they were like, it may have been part of just like the idea that they wanted to completely destroy this body so that people could no longer
Mm,
venerate it. And there is a lot of like Catholic vibes, which I mean is part of the reason that historically Catholics were opposed to cremation, is
sure,
that the body is considered very much like a thing that you
holy.
need to have, because it is the vibe is kind of like, well, when we all get raised from the dead, you're going to need that. So I don't
You're
know how that translates to just like keeping a saint's finger somewhere, but
well, he doesn't need the finger though,
he doesn't need the finger. My favorite part of the Atlas Obscura article is that after talking about some of these things, she was like, maybe he's just crazy. Which
Yeah,
I think is true regardless of what other motivations there are, because both of
right
these
because you
are not good, but understandable reasons behind this, but you still have to be pretty wild to be like, I know what I should do for my legitimacy. I should dig up this corpse.
yeah, like you did a crazy thing, brother. I'm so
You
sorry.
you did a fully crazy thing, and people at the time were like, you did a crazy thing, brother. They were not cool with it. Stephen the Sixth is taken to jail by a mob where he is strangled to death. Uh,
Oh, well.
so doing this thing, this was not a times were different kind of situation where they were like, this seems normal. Everyone was
No.
like, Stephen, this is too much. We can't have this happening.
So all that work to prove his legitimacy just to
Yeah, just
get
to
strangled.
get
Like,
strangled. Yep. And sucks to suck, Stephen, the river thing didn't even work. They fish Formosus out of the
yes.
river,
Oh, I was
and
hoping you would tell me that his
of
body
course,
survived.
of course. And then within 2 years, but three more popes, he is returned to his tomb. Uh, it is crazy because they're like, oh, they pull him out of the river, and then this pope brought him back to the Vatican, and then oh, now he's not pope anymore. This other pope, and I was like, you guys are getting crazy over there. But Formosus does get to be put back into his tomb like nothing ever happened, and just leaves this legacy of being the Pope Cadaver put on trial.
That's crazy. What a journey. Like, if we are to believe, which I do, that ghosts are a thing, like, I'm just imagining his spirit being like, what is happening? Like,
Right? He's like,
like
truly,
first
guys,
he's
what
on
the hell?
trial, and then they take his fingers, then he's floating down a river. He's like, what is going on, guys?
Right? It's like, guys, this is so messed up. And then they were like, oh, we'll just put you back in here. And he's
I
like,
was kind of
oh, boy.
hoping well, I guess that wouldn't happen with the Pope, though. That was a saint thing. But I was hoping you were going to tell me that he became like, I don't know what they call it, but like his whole body was going to get like
Oh, yeah.
shown as a
Yeah.
saint or something.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he was probably pretty busted at that point.
Yeah.
Poor dude. So it's probably for the best to just let him go back to the tomb and
Let him go
take a
sleep.
nap. But yeah, that is I'm all about giving our ghouls fun facts. So while you are enjoying all of the solemn ritual of the conclave, feel free to remember that the early Catholic Church was wild as hell and popes
Was
were up to some nonsense.
was so unserious. Yeah.
Yep.
And was putting people in power named Stephen.
Yep. The this is the start of what is considered which is called by historians the pornocracy in the Vatican. So this is the start. Things continue to
Of
go crazy
something
from
new.
here.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, drop us a comment if you want more crazy church history with Penny Snark.
Yes, I love to dig through all of the weird and wacky history. I am no longer a Catholic, but I do enjoy the wild stories and the goth vibes. So
Oh, wow. That's not what I thought I'd be learning about today.
hey, well, if any of you enjoyed the story, or if you have other favorite popes gone wild from history, feel free to let us know. You can find us hanging out in our Ghouls Night in Discord, where we chit chat about the episode, share photos, talk about movies, just all of the fun things that friends like to do. And if you really enjoyed the episode, you could leave us a review wherever you listen. We love to get reviews either on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify comments, or in our Instagram DMs. And I believe Midge has a hot, fresh review today.
I do. And this is from Clancy from the PNW, and is somebody who simultaneously left us a review because they enjoyed and did not enjoy the episode
Uh-oh.
in tandem. So this is a 5-star review titled Haunted Mansion in April. Hello, ghouls. I spent this weekend painting and decorating my master bathroom, and it's now themed after the Haunted Mansion.
Ooh,
Dope.
nice.
I was able to catch up on the pod, and no joke, I was installing my new mirrors when the Mirrors episode started.
Uh-oh.
All caps, freaked me out in the best way possible. I love the history lessons and the year-round spookiness you send into the universe. Thank you for being your glorious selves. Lots of spooky vibes and good energy to you both from Oregon.
Oh,
Thank you,
thank you.
Clancy.
When you said that it was an episode that they liked and didn't like, I was guessing it was going to be the meat rain because that one's been one that has
Yeah.
upset and thrilled many listeners.
I just read a review that's from me. I'm like,
Not like
I,
that.
I love working with Penny, but
Uh,
sometimes I don't. 4 stars. No.
it's fair. It's fair. Oh,
You've made up for
man.
it. You made up for Carnal Rain with Corpse Trial. So
Thank you. I'm so glad. Oh, and just not one of our usual updates, but especially because we were just talking about
the church.
the
Yeah.
church. Just wanted to give a shout out to anyone who's considering going to see Sinners. Go see it in
Yes. Oh,
theaters. It
go,
is so
go.
good. Incredible film. Definitely worth seeing on the big screen. So just wanted to make sure we said that before time got away from us.
Yeah. And if you can, I don't know if you got to do this, Penny, but I did see it in IMAX. And if you're able to go see it in IMAX, do it.
I
It,
didn't, and now I'm
oh,
thinking that I maybe want to go see it again in
I
IMAX.
think I'm going to see it again before it's off the big screen. It was, man, wow. What a film. I'm sure we'll cover that at some point, but before
Yes,
it's out of theaters, go give yourselves that experience for sure.
definitely. Uh, and if you would like to follow along with our podcast, you can find us on Instagram at Ghouls Night in Pod. And if you are looking for me, you can find me all over at Penny Snark.
And you can find me all over the web at Midge Munster.
And until next time,
Good.